Shalom, 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 everyone. We are continuing with the study of to be a Jew. You want to be a Jew? Really? I got to ask myself, why would you want to submit yourselves to so much restrictions and limitations, especially during Passover? Talking about a holiday of limitations, but yet great redemption. Passover is that. You will see that there's a lot of things you're not allowed to eat, even if it's permissible to eat normally during the rest of the year. Preparing for the Passover is a very arduous preparation of cleaning, household cleaning. A thorough household cleaning is usually undertaken in preparation for Pesach. You clean the house, you clean the kitchen, you clean every nook and cranny of your home. You clean your cars, you clean the office, you even clean every place that you may have put food there during the year. You clean out your bookshelves. You want to make there's no bread and crumbs in the books. It's a whole cleaning exercise. Shopping for the week is a special undertaking and it involves scrupulous care in avoiding any food that may contain chametz. Even purchasing any processed food, one must take care to be certain that there is no chametz, and a competent certification of rabbinical authority should be looked at, including we have our own certification agency, Sephardic Kosher Supervision, SAMEK, or OU, or so many other different certifications out there that you can check to make sure. If you don't see the P on an item, even a product, for example, we have a lot of products that's made of cheese and dairy that does not have the P, Passover, which means would be done and processed without leaven. So you'll see in the store there's a lot of things that says OUD or Samek D, and obviously those products, although they're kosher, they're not kosher for Pesach. Okay, so ovens, burners, cooking ranges, they all must be kashered for Passover. And there are many types of cooking vessels or eating utensils that may also be kashered if needed. This can be done at any time before Passover, but no later than the morning before the holiday begins. 1 hour before the eating deadline for the chametz is the deadline for also kashering utensils and in the method of boiling. As you can also take a look on page 120 in the book To Be a Jew, how to do it. The ceremony of Bidkat Chametz is the ceremony of searching out for chametz in your house. And it's usually a tradition to put pieces of bread around the house and then have the children. It's a very fun time for the children because they're looking for the bread. It's like a hide and seek exercise. It's fun. I'm not going to say it's not. It's very, very entertaining. The children love it. They can't wait for it to happen. They're searching for the bread. And sometimes, every once in a while, they may miss one. But a formal search for the chametz takes place the night before Passover. The Mishnah established the requirement of conducting a careful, intensive search for chametz on the night of Passover as a means of finding and cleansing the house of all chametz that can be stored even in the crevices of the ancient stone walls. Although it has a long since become custom to do a thorough cleaning of a home well in advance of the holiday, the formal search required by the Mishnah has reminded us of this established observance in preparing for Passover. The traditional procedure for the ceremony search is as follows. Before beginning the search, the following blessing is stated or said, usually by the head of the house, but everyone in there as well. And the blessing is as follows. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al biur chametz. Interesting, all the blessings that we say starts with the same formula. The only difference is the final part. And here we have v'tzivanu al biur chametz. Blessed art thou, Lord God, King of the universe, who has commanded us concerning the destruction you might say annihilation of chametz. In a darkened room and with a single lighted candle in his hand, the head of the household moves from room to room wherever food may have been brought in any time, including basements or attics, and even the bedroom. And since it's unlikely that crumbs of other chametz will be found in the household, which has already been well cleansed, creating a situation where a blessing may be recited in vain, it became customary to place, prior to the beginning of the formal search, small pieces of bread in various places throughout the house, like a hide-go-seek, so as to make certain that some chametz will be found. One should not, however, do so indiscriminately, but should know exactly how many pieces were thus placed so as to be sure that they have all been found. A large wooden spoon is traditionally used as a receptacle in which to gather the bread crumbs, and a feather is used to brush the crumbs into the spoon. However, any receptacle such as a paper plate or paper bag or any other cleaning instruments may be used. Chametz food still needs to be needed for the next morning should be set aside in one place before the search begins. It need not to be gathered up in the search. Upon concluding the search and after having gathered up all the other chametz which has been found, the following statement of nullification must be said. I encourage this to be said by all the members of the family. And it is called bitul, nullification. All leaven and all chametz that is in my possession that I did not see, did not destroy, let it be null and ownerless as the dust of the earth. This statement should be said in a language that one understands. Not necessary to say in Hebrew unless you fully understand the Hebrew. The purpose of the statement is to legally declare null and void any chametz that may still be around, but of which one is unaware of. This declaration, one formally renounces ownership of any such chametz and removes it from its legal possession. The chametz found during the search, together with the receptacle used to collect it, should be wrapped up and put safely away that it may be burned the next morning. Once the blessing has been said, the one making the search should not engage in any conversation, unless it's to do so to engage to find the other missing pieces. Until it has been completed, the statement of nullification has been said. In a household where there are children, the ceremonial search for the chametz can be very impressive and awesome ceremony, and they may be encouraged to participate. This is the reason why we do it. They may be given task of distributing pieces of bread throughout, and though it must become a game, it should not be seen as a game of hide and seek, which in fact it is. It is a hide and seek game with crumbs, lest someone actually not be found. What do? That happened many times in some Jewish homes. They couldn't find the other piece of bread which they hid. They hid it so well it wasn't found until the following year. This is why the nullification takes great importance. They may follow the one conducting the search as they go room to room, corner to corner, to search for all the missing crumbs of chametz. The burning of the chametz takes place the following morning, no later than an hour after the deadline of eating chametz. The chametz that had been gathered the night before in the ceremonial search, plus anything that was left in the breakfast, is thrown into the furnace or incinerator to be burned. Normally, many communities have like a community fire that they bring their bread to, and they do it together in a very unique way. And the statement is again repeated and more inclusive in the statement of nullifying the leaven. All leaven and all chametz that is in my possession that I have not seen, or have seen, that I have destroyed or have not destroyed, let it be null and ownerless as the dust of the earth. So if you happen to find it later, It's ownerless. It's not owned by anyone. Just pick it up like it was garbage and throw it out. All leaven, all chametz that is in my possession that I have seen or have not seen it, I have destroyed or have not destroyed, let it be null and ownerless as the dust of the earth. Should the first night of Passover fall on Saturday night, the search for chametz is held 2 nights before. On Thursday night, and chametz is burned on Friday morning, and the statement of the nullification is said, however, on Saturday morning. In earlier times, Jews totally divested themselves before Passover all chametz in their possession, either by destroying it or giving it away to non-Jews, or if it had some marketable value, by selling it to a non-Jew. And this tradition became very, very known in many Jewish communities, where you sell in the form of a contract any chametz that you may have, and they usually store it away so that a Gentile or anyone can come in and pick it up, indicating that that is not theirs. Chametz is basically sold out to a non-Jew, and later, after Passover is over, is bought back, and normally the rabbi or Jewish leader is contracted to do the service for the Jewish community. As life became more complicated, individuals kept larger quantities of chametz, either for business or personal use. Liquidating all of the chametz before Passover became difficult, and destroying it would have meant suffering tremendous loss. If there was no other way, no other alternative, suffering the losses would have proved no barrier to the faithful in fulfilling the commandment, but a legal alternative was available. It's called Bidkat Chametz, selling the chametz by having a bona fide bill of sale drawn up with a non-Jew stating the terms of delivery, the assessment of the value, and the involvement of a down payment by the non-Jewish buyer. Although it is possible to accuse the seller of being interested only for the sake of the paper, the legality of any sale is never dependent upon the sincerity or feelings of the buyer and seller. And since it is a legitimate transaction, it is sufficient to divest oneself of legal ownership of the chametz. Let me say this. There was someone who owned a pizza shop, Jewish pizza owner shop. And apparently the owner decided to sell his chametz in the pizza shop to a non-Jew. Non-Jew didn't realize that he was buying, for a very small amount, a pizza shop that had a whole bunch of chametz. Now, obviously, pizza shop was closed down during Passover, but what he came to discover is that he had just bought a pizza shop for a couple of dollars. And when it came time to want to buy it back, because the contract did not spell out that this was to be done, the Jewish owner lost his pizza shop because it was an actual intact contract. So you got to be careful. You've got to trust the person who's managing the contractual sale. So the non-Jewish buyer is usually aware that he can sell it back to the seller after Passover at a slightly higher price, thus making himself a small profit in the transaction, a profit to which the seller gladly will accede to. Although Jews may assure that the non-Jew that he will be prepared to buy it back and offer him a profit in the transaction, under no circumstances may the condition of the sale include an obligation on the part of the non-Jew to sell it back, or an obligation on the part of the Jew to buy it back. It's commonplace that someone who do not fully understand it refer to the sale as a token sale. This is precisely what it must not be. It's not a token sale. It's an actual sale. Meaningless and has no legal significance at all. It is, if those Jews who engage in it think of it only as such, no valid sale is arranged, and then according to Torah they must indeed destroy and otherwise dispose of all chametz in their possession prior to Passover if they are not to be in violation of the biblical statute. Those who deal in stocks, who sell short and buy futures, who buy and sell quantities of merchandise without ever having laid eyes upon it, is sometimes with but small down payments, if any, should understand better that even short-term ownership of sales on paper represent a very real ownership, that during this period all the risks are assumed. The so-called legal fiction of selling chametz of Passover is more legal than fiction. It is in fact a common bona fide method of doing business. Now, should the non-Jew wish to fulfill all the conditions of the sale after Passover and refuse any offers to buy it back, the Jew would have no other alternative but to live up to all the conditions in the bill of sale or be sued for breach of contract. The bill of sale or contract would be upheld as valid not only by any Jewish court, but any civil court as well. The Bidkat Chametz transaction is mutually advantageous in that it enables the Jewish seller to abide by the requirements of his faith and enables the non-Jewish buyer to reap a profit. This does not detract from its legitimacy. On the contrary, it provides another example of how living law is applied to changing conditions. Bidkat Chametz is an example of a very flexibility in Jewish law that is usually thought as desirable for those who criticize legal rigidity. It is not sufficiently appreciated that Bidkat Chametz is a business transaction and not intended to be a religious service of the heart. Although it's preferable if chametz is sold actually and turned out to the non-Jew. If this is not feasible, the Jew may rent the room or the space where the chametz is stored to the non-Jew. The terms of the space of rental is also included in the purchase agreement of the bill of sale. At one time, sales of chametz was handled separately by each Jewish family, and this can still be done when it became a problem for individual families to arrange transactions on their own, and they developed the practice of assigning the power of attorney to a person in the community who acts on behalf of the family when drawing up a proper bill of sale with a non-Jew. The power of attorney to sell the chametz may be signed any time during the weeks before Passover, but no later than an hour, which is the deadline for eating chametz, and it is during the hour following the actual sales of the chametz which is consummated. The question of why the statement of the nullification does not suffice in lieu of selling the undestroyed chametz was asked, and be answered by the Talmudic scholars. A statement of nullification to be legally effective must be said, one, with sincerity. One must really mean what one says, so that if a stranger were to walk off with that which one nullified, one would have no objection. I don't own it. It's not mine. I'm detached from ownership of the chametz. In dealing with the valuable stock of food, liquor, merchandise, sincerity is not assumed. A legal sale may be, however, be fully consummated even where a man's heart is not entirely in it, even if one has reservation about selling it. Where chametz is neither sold to a non-Jew nor destroyed by any other means, and remains the property of the Jew on Passover, she'avar alav haPesach. Not only is the owner in violation of biblical laws in Passover, but that such chametz by rabbinic decree is also forbidden even after Passover, which means that even after Passover, if you held on to it, you can't have any benefit of it, even after Passover. This decree is a form of a fine, a kinas, to discourage people from keeping chametz that was in their possession over Passover with the idea or intent of enjoying it after Passover. The search for chametz, bidkat chametz, the nullification of chametz, bitul chametz, the burning and destruction of chametz, biur chametz, and the sale of chametz, mikrat chametz, are still all performed to leave no loophole in the observance of every facet of the commandment. And so we have these three statements from the Torah. You shall put an end to leaven from your houses. Exodus 12:15. No leaven shall be found in your houses. Exodus 12, verse 19. No leavened bread shall be seen with you. Exodus 13, verse 7. Now we're going to pause here as to the preparation of Passover. And in our next video, we're going to take a look at the fast of the firstborn and conducting the Seder service on Pesach. Shalom, shalom.